Fiscal year 2018 was a year of growth and continued transformation for Electronic Arts, and a year where our commitment to putting players first grew even stronger. We expanded our global player base, grew engagement in our leading games, live services and subscriptions, and continued our focus on listening and learning from our communities. What planet is this paragraph written on, Andrew Wilson? What the hell? So as you guys know, I come from a business background, and every morning when I wake up, I do two things. I eat breakfast. Well, I guess I do three things. I eat breakfast, I take a shower, and I read articles from my favorite Wall Streety style websites. And one of them happens to do and provide what are called earnings call reports. Now, these are basically recorded sessions of EA executives, so Blake Jorgensen, Andrew Wilson and this whole gang. They're basically sitting around a table, and someone who is being paid probably far too little is sitting there with his little recorder and his little notepad writing down every single word. And these meetings get transcribed into articles, and this is one of them, and that was one of the paragraphs from the most recent EA earnings call. And I have just never read something that is so far from the truth in 2018 that it blows my freaking mind. As if 2017 was not bad enough for EA, they've been caught in the news once again lately for quote-unquote abandoning Battlefront 2. Now, you could take this for whatever you want. Basically, the progression that they were supposed to fix months back and during when its problematic release happened, they're not really doing that anymore. Reports are coming in that the company is boycotting future patches for Battlefront 2. Reports are coming in that they're not going to fix anything. Reports are coming in, and this all boils down to, of course, the fact that Electronic Arts did not make as much money as they predicted with Battlefront 2. Now, yeah, it did sell a ton of copies. I actually remember that the projected sales was 14 million units by the end of the year. They actually received about 8 million units by the end of the year. So while it was low, it was actually still quite a lot. You know, by standards of today's conventional gaming, 8 million units is an incredibly high amount of sales. Maybe not for a game of this caliber, but relative to cost, I think it is. And what I mean by that is, Battlefront 2 is a sequel, okay? So it's not going to have the upfront cost that the original Battlefront remake in 2015 actually had. Technology, when you make a sequel, technology allows you to build off what you already have, right? So making Battlefront 2 in 2017 cost them way less money than Battlefront in 2015. It's really important when you try to educate yourself about these kind of topics that you distinguish what profit is from revenue, right? Revenue is just how much money's coming in. Profit accounts for how much you've actually spent. So the fact that Battlefront 2 in 2017 was built upon a game that was already finished means that they didn't have such a high upfront cost, meaning that, you know, when they actually sold less than projected, it probably wasn't that big of a deal to EA, and that was obviously confirmed in future earnings call reports when EA was basically lackadaisical about the performance of the game. They were not worried. They were never worried. It's been shown in the media, it's been shown in these earnings call reports. I've seen interviews, I've watched interviews, I've read so many articles on this. Trust me, it's basically what I do when you guys are working. The fact that their sales came under projected is probably not as big of a deal as people are making it out to be, especially when the cornerstone of their industry and their business, 40% of their revenue, 41% to be exact as of this last month, comes from live gaming services. So they're not totally shackled to their day one sales. That's their entire business model. Market their games to the moon, try to get their games in the hands of many people as possible, but then try to extend the buying process of these consumers way past the day one sale. I might not like it, you might not like it, the industry might not like it, but they are successful and they are leading the trend for many companies, including Ubisoft and some of the other big time publishers. So we can't ignore the fact that this actual formula works. But the fact that EA is so disillusioned blows my mind, right? I read that paragraph to you, and the very first line was, "We put players first." No, you do not. That is such a marketed scapegoat just to look good in this industry. EA is so good. They are so good at marketing. It's unbelievable. They're so good at PR. Sure, they might have the PR nightmare from time to time due to poor implementation, but the actual facilitation of trying to make themselves look good is very successful on the part of EA. They know the right words to say, they make flashy trailers, they present themselves well at conferences, they know how to put themselves in the right spotlights, of course except when they do something really stupid, like loot boxes in Battlefront 2 and the entire world blows up. Besides that though, they are really good at making themselves look good. And they're very good at making money. If you saw my recent video on EA, I guess my last 2 videos on EA, I basically broke down the business. There's a huge misconception in this industry that EA is failing, and we should be yelling at them and screaming at them and laughing at them because they're going bye-bye. That couldn't be farther from the truth. I did a business analysis on EA in my last video, and I showed you the stock analysis. I showed you the KPIs, I showed you all the revenue, I showed you the different outlets for how they make money. It's going up and up and up and up and up. They're not doing bad. In fact, they are doing better than they have ever done. The fact is though, they're not putting players first. They're doing it the wrong way. They're basically making money on the back of bad business. And what I mean by bad business is business that is not good for the consumer, you guys. They're taking away their single-player campaigns. They're infecting their games with loot boxes and microtransactions, and they're working on games for future revenue as opposed to present quality, and that is a huge distinction that this industry needs to realize. Electronic Arts needs to start implementing good games that are worked on in the present, that release finished, without fluff, no pre-order mumbo-jumbo, no day one DLC, no cash-grabbing DLC that we're going to put in the future that you should have gotten already in the base game, none of that stuff. But they are doing that and they're setting the trends. They're not putting players first. What they're actually doing is putting players last in order to make more money. One of the things you should be aware of as a gamer is when a company releases a game and it's messed up, and then they do not fulfill their promises to complete the fixings. And the concern right now is with Battlefront 2. But that mentality extends way into the future with Anthem. Anthem is one of their only big AAA games that's going to be releasing probably in the next year or so. I think the tentative release date, in theory at least, is March of 2019. And we've seen many problems with Anthem on the horizon, changes in management, changes in idea, changes in release dates, controversies of live gaming, all of this stuff. And what it all boils down to is EA going to tap into the wrong end of the cookie jar in order to make those implementations? If you're going to put players first, then I expect a complete game at release. I don't expect any pre-order mumbo-jumbo. I don't expect any in-game microtransactions, no progression stuff that's going to affect power levels and all that stuff. So is that a growing concern for Anthem? Of course it is. If any of that horse manure is in the game, then no, they're not putting players first. Nor is abandoning what you should be doing with your current game that many people actually love with Battlefront 2. The worry with that game is that since we all kind of boycotted the game, no one's really playing it. Well, at least people are saying that they're not really playing it. Who knows if they're playing it or not. And the fact that their sales were low is that EA is not going to have the incentive to actually fix anything, because who really cares if no one's playing your game? That's the mentality. And the last thing, of course, is all the glowing spotlights for loot box regulation and prison time and all of this new government intervention from China and Austria and Hawaii and all that stuff. Does EA really want to be in the limelight and all that bad blood? Probably not. So it actually might be the smart thing for EA to kind of step out and hide right now and kind of just see where things go with the regulations, make sure that everything's kind of, the coast is clear, as they say, before they come in and make any more changes to what many people call the most egregious loot box implementation of 2017. So knowing that, the fact that EA is kind of being silent right now and we don't really know what's going on with Battlefront 2 makes plenty of sense if you think about it. Especially when you consider any press releases or earnings call releases that you see from EA, you kind of get the sensation that they're being really fake and haughty-taughty. It's as if they kind of want us to just forget about what they did and kind of walk away and turn around and never look back. They kind of want to pretend like it didn't happen and move on to Battlefield 2018. The only reason that EA is in the position that they are in is because of their sports gaming market. It basically grew to around 90 million players last fiscal year, and they've added tens of millions of more players on mobile and PC as well. So not only do they have a monopoly in this industry pretty much, But every single one of their sports games and mobile games is driven by a live service, so they're getting this consistent revenue year after year after year and month after month after month that grows every month progressively. So are they really worried about a few things here and there with their $60 box video games? Probably not. They're more focused on making the live gaming service as lucrative as it could possibly be. I have yet to see EA put the players first in the last couple years. We have seen Battlefront 2, Mass Effect Andromeda, just so many examples of EA not putting the player first. I grew up in this industry when EA was at the apex of its talent and its prosperity. They were once the very best publisher in this industry. They delivered excellent titles, fair, ethical. They treated their consumers well. They didn't focus on the future. They made games good today. And they most certainly put the player first. I have such a strong sense of melancholiness right now and lament for the loss of what I consider a true video game experience from EA because I haven't seen it in years and years and years. I think many of you guys, and probably the gaming populace as a whole, can stand behind me when I say we want EA to be good, but they're not good right now. We know that they can do better, but they're not doing better. They're basically taking the player first mentality and putting it to the player last mentality, and it's got to stop. And it's got to stop this year with Battlefield 2018. I don't know how many gamers are willing to wait for Anthem in good spirits if Battlefield 2018 turns out to be a fiesta of loot boxes and pre-order mumbo crap. I just don't see it happening because EA is in a position where they've got to do some vindication, some holy vindication in order to get back to the way they used to be. It seems right now that EA almost needs an exorcism in order to have them come to a point of realization and kind of awake, as they say, and get back to the state that we want them to be, and the state that we know that EA can produce high quality games in. The states where EA puts the player first. So go ahead and join in on the conversation, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section regarding really any of these topics that I went over today, EA or consumer advocacy, whatever you guys feel like. I'd be happy to read your comments down below and respond to as many as I can. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you did enjoy the video, go ahead and thumbs it up for me. It really helps. And we'll see you guys in a few days with our next video. Peace, love, and happiness. Until then, you guys take care.